Ren!
This is quite a bit higher when you're up here.
Too much to lift.
Don't do it, Ren.
So today we're with Chris, who works at Leica, and he has brought a very special piece of technology that I've just been oogling over for many, many years here.
So this is the Leica BLK 360. It's a 3D scanner using LiDAR. It's also got HDR imagery capabilities, typically used more in the construction space and capturing 3D scenes. But now we're starting to get into getting some traction in the visual effects industry, and that's why we kind of teamed up with you guys to try and check out some of those workflows. So LiDAR is using a laser from the inside, as you can see here. The laser's on the inside and hits this mirror, this 45-degree angle mirror. Then that mirror spins, and it shoots out a laser point, and using time of flight technology, it's bouncing back and takes a measured data point. And so the data itself is actually scaled. As this rotates, then this whole thing spins. You've got a single laser beam kind of going like this, and then it rotates 180 degrees, but then you're collecting full 360 because you're capturing that slice all at once. There's 3 cameras right here. So as it goes around, its first stage, it goes around, each one takes a snapshot, and then as that goes around, it does 10 stops. So you essentially end up with 30 photos that are stitched together into one total of 150 megapixel image.
Gotcha. So that makes it so it can reconstruct the space in 3 dimensions instead of just 2.
Exactly.
How big of a space can this thing scan? Could it do the whole, could it get all the way back there?
Yeah, actually, so from a single location, when it shoots out, it's got a maximum range of 60 meters, so about 200 feet. So that's in full 360. Essentially, the only kind of blind spot is pretty much the footprint of the actual tripod right here. That's just from one location. But as you do multiple setups, you go along, and as long as you have it set up so that there's overlapping data, you can register those together. So you could do entire building and go from room to room. Doesn't matter. There's really no limit on that.
Do you want to actually go to the loading dock first and start there?
Sure.
So, because I think that we can get some really good explanation and context of the just really what makes this special versus our current process.
Sure.
Cool.
Blast door open. Blast pad acquired.
What is this?
This is a crash pad. I've been wanting one of these my entire life.
What's a crash pad?
Crash pad is what you can jump onto from high distances and not hurt yourself. They're hard to find because they're a very specialty piece of hardware, like gymnastics or rock climbing.
Is this what the big Hollywood stunt guys use?
This is what the big Hollywood stunt guys use. In fact, we bought it from big Hollywood stunt guys.
What the heck? Where are we gonna fit this, man?
I don't know.
You didn't.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Oh, snap. Is that what I think it is?
Keep me for this, do you?
Where's Ren?
Brand new.
Big boy.
What? This?
Well, yeah, it's a tripod if you need it flat and big.
What the heck?
You're on the wrong side.
Every time I jump on a crash pad, it's been mesh side up.
Yes.
Really?
What? Yes.
Yeah, this is to protect it from the dirt. This is no protection from the dirt.
Yeah, you don't want rocks in here.
Yeah, you don't want rocks in there. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, we want this side.
Little scope.
Yeah.
You said, how do you break it in?
Yeah, how do you break it in?
Let me show you.
It hasn't been broken yet.
Wow.
A little bit, a
That was
couple
like
hundred
right off
times.
my face.
I gotta feel it out.
Oh, it's stiff.
Remember what Brett taught you?
Remember what Brett taught me?
Did someone say header?
Jeez, I didn't even know that was about to happen.
Yo, I can do that too.
Ooh.
Hey, I can do that also, again, one more.
Oh.
You know backflip? Whoa! Damn, I didn't know you had that in you, Wes.
He's off his Jackie Chan.
Match, imagine it. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. It's just the back. It's just the back flip, like with something else.
Let me make it something to practice. Nice. So the idea is that we can do like
When we filmed our Boston Dynamics video. In order to get that robot looking like it's naturally in the scene, we would take our Insta360 cameras and we would scan a 360 HDR of this environment. You're basically getting a giant sphere. The problem though is that that sphere, it's not in 3 dimensions here, it's in 2. Imagine I'm inside a sphere here of light, but the problem is that when you scan it in 2 dimensions, that light sphere has to kind of move with you because it's at an infinite distance. It doesn't actually move with your scene or anything like that. Whenever the character is standing directly beneath the light, it's going to look completely natural. But suddenly, if the character steps in 3D space away from it, that 360 HDR, it's not going to move away. It's going to stick with your scene. So when it came time to render that video and light it and do all that stuff, we had to basically go through and in 3 dimensions put light sources back where they were. So that made it so we couldn't like actually rely on just our image map to recreate the scene. It's a long-winded explanation, but I feel like that's as concise as I can possibly make it. So yeah, basically it makes it so your lights stick where they need to be. Are we gonna have to like run and hide?
Well, yeah, so if you want to get your best, cleanest stuff, you have 2 options. Yeah, you can run and hide behind something, or you can do a little BLK 360 dance. As this rotates, you can kind of
Can we just like get up? Can we get against the wall and just like be?
No, because it's gonna go past us and scan us. I mean, we'll be permanently set in stone in that scene.
So we do have, a few different settings if you want on here. We can do, low res, medium res, high res. So that's just a number of actual points you're taking. Then you can change the imagery to be LDR or HDR. So, the longer, the higher resolution the actual point cloud is, the longer it takes.
It would be great to do like the HDR scan because I'm okay with the extra data because we can definitely use it.
Sure.
So how long does that take scanning wise then?
So scanning, if we did medium resolution point cloud, which is typically you're probably putting around about 15 million points, and then the HDR turned on, it'll take about 4 minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
By the way, the musician upstairs is playing some extra like technology-driven music right now, so it's perfect.
Technology-driven music inspired by technology.
Inspired by technology. I'll see you guys on the other side.
See you guys in 420.
Yeah, right.
Oh boy, the guys are gonna come in. Don't open the door! All right, you guys are good?
Good.
Come on in, boys.
Stone Age triangle music.
Dude, most primitive life form beats.
I am a primitive life form. Sometimes I'm a spear.
So, loading dock's done. We're going to chart our course from the loading dock back into the studio.
We're breaking it in, man. Breaking it in.
Oh, wait, what? What? Where did this come from?
I got
I went to the bathroom for like 1 minute, and I come back and we got, what is this? Woo!
Nice.
Who can pull the coolest move going down?
Trick shots. If we put this under the railing.
Oh, that just hurt.
Ren, the question is, man, what does it taste like?
I just can't taste right now. My brain molecules.
Did it actually hurt?
This is supposed to be safe, Nico.
It is safe.
It's just, I have a huge headache now, like instantaneous bad headache.
Dang! Brandon had a crash pad inside of the skull, so his brain's still hitting the skull.
You know what we have to do though, right?
What?
We have to go put it over there so we jump off the balcony.
Yeah. Is that a good idea? Is this?
That's probably way too high. We definitely need to break it in.
Don't do it, Ren. Don't do it, Ren. You have too much to live.
Don't do it, Ren!
Ren!
This is quite a bit higher when you're up here.
There's so much nonsense. Ren, you're just following your cat instincts. Come down. This is not safe.
Okay.
I think we can do that one though.
Nice.
I think we can do that ledge.
Still got it.
Whoa!
How did that feel?
Great, dude. Better than it feels when you're on concrete. We must jump from higher things.
The ground is not high enough.
So theoretically, this thing should be able to just be right in the middle, right, and scan the whole hallway?
Kinda. Yeah, I think we're gonna do maybe like 1 or 2 more before we actually hit the studio, because we're at like the faster mode where it's only 3 minutes per scan instead of like 4.5.
Get a nice clean connection. I saw this one company overseas a few years ago where they were testing it out they did models, they shot models, like literally people. And I saw they were doing some funky stuff where they purposely had the models like moving with the scanner. So they would, in the end, like talk about some janky things. You can see a long person, but in 3D then, so the same as a panorama.
A 3D squish?
A 3D squish.
Oh man.
You can squish or elongate, whatever you want to do.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, pretty good.
The scans work?
It's about a 1% preview of what the total point cloud will look like. It's kind of auto-adjusting.
Is this the first one you guys have done?
We just did a couple out there, but otherwise, I took some scans in here earlier, I can show you that, but we're currently taking a scan out there, so I gotta stay on this project while I'm doing that.
Yeah. How long does it take?
So each scan can range anywhere from like 40 seconds to 6 minutes or so.
Okay.
But yeah.
Can it shoot, HDRIs?
Yeah, just 3-stage HDR.
Yeah, so
This is the texture.
it does, but we're still figuring out like how to best extract that though. Yeah.
So looking directly from the point of the scanner, you just see since we turn the HDR on, it will auto adjust. It does have the thermal imaging actually as well. Just in the one view, it's like a 70-degree point of view, so you can see it's not all the way 360, but it is still the only LiDAR scanner on the market with any sort of thermal capabilities.
How much does this camera run?
So this one is just the unit itself is like 18,500. But yeah, kind of all in for anything you'd need to get started is like 20 grand.
Yeah.
Brandon, we gotta work our way up to it.
Brandon's like ready for
We
it.
gotta work our way up to it.
Push to the cliff. Jump.
Brandon, we gotta work our way up to it, god dang it.
They could like knock the wind out of you, right?
I mean, if you don't roll into it properly, yeah, there are proper ways to fall on a crash pad. We are having fun breaking it in, but at first, it's solid.
That is, you feel the acceleration. Oh my God. Just that extra like 4 or 5 feet there is a big difference.
It doesn't.
Cause I
Fall on your side.
Are you scared, bro?
heads up though. I can't hang on any longer, dude.
Clint, hang on, man. Hang on.
Hang on.
Wow, are you able to? Are you supposed to hold it?
They have bigger ones for like
12 inch. Like even if you no, but if you hold it, get the thickness.
That almost just took the camera out, dude. I know.
You see his shoe? His shoe went up there.
I wouldn't fall off that railing onto my back. That would definitely hurt. Yeah. It's hard on the brain. You gotta learn the ways. Still hurts my brain.
Hopefully we can use this for some cool videos in the future, right?
Yeah, this is what we can fall onto now anytime we need to jump off something. It's a little stiff.
We could actually just keep this here and like, instead of taking the stairs, we just jump down.
Yo, check this out.
For 5 minutes while we.
Oh, it's like that.
I'll give you a cup of beer. How about that?
It's gonna be a statue.
A cup of beer.
Trying to do the schedule for next week,
But no.
Sam's offering me beer.
That's a tough sell.
Yeah, right.
We're trying to get to having a full version of this model that we can use for upcoming videos and potentially even to, use as a virtual tour for anyone who wants to see what our studio is like. How do we get there? Because this is a lot of data. This is a lot of data. Look at this.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
So again, this is just kind of like, low res preview of the data. This will be a lot more solid, but it also kind of like almost a little X-ray view
So
kind
fun
of
to
thing.
just like
float around and see.
Yeah. Once again, I keep bringing up this Boston Dynamics video because the whole process we went through for this video is like the complicated version of what we just did, of like having to rebuild the environment and measure everything and project textures out. And for us though, like it's funny because when we're doing it, we're saying, you know, screw it. These are all right angles. We're not measuring angles of anything. We're just assuming that everything is nice and straight. And so throughout the whole process, we're noticing inconsistencies all over the place. And we're just like, maybe we just suck and can't figure this out. But like, no, it's like things are just slightly off in real life.
Yeah, just like when they try to recreate, if you recreate the Darth Vader helmet perfectly symmetrical, people are like, that doesn't look quite right. You know, because that original helmet was handmade and there's inconsistencies, and so it's like, that can happen if you try and recreate something too perfectly. You know, all these scans really don't know where they are in 3D space, so it all comes to overlapping data. So every time we set it up, we make sure there's overlapping data between those, and then essentially like putting a puzzle together. Just get it close to where it should be, say, hey, register with that one, hit optimize, and it snaps it together.
Oh my god.
Create link.
That's so stupidly easy looking.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Pick a point, tap the screen, and then find a point. Just
So you can just measure it. Oh my god, that's so cool. I just like how it's accurate. Like that idea of accuracy and like bringing a lot of the guesswork out of it is so cool. Sorry, this is just like the highest tech looking interface. It's like every video game you've ever played. It's like this is what you're looking at, you know?
And then like the 3D version is like some like Ocean's 11 like we're like, all right, we got the maps of the place. You know,
when they're flying through, we gotta go through the elevator shaft and then break into the vault.
Each one of these files though is like super dense. There's like millions of points. Like they have to be huge file sizes. How the heck does this like work so quickly to align that stuff?
So what we're seeing here, this isn't fully processed data yet. It's just a low res kind of preview image. So the raw data, you know, it's sitting on the BLK, then it transfers it over and just kind of initially does a process to it, because to fully process it, it can't quite handle it all on the iPad Pro. So once I dump this off onto the laptop, it'll finish processing, and then that's when it'll like fully essentially unzip all the real data.
Well, I guess so. We have to process this data first before we mess with it, because it's just a preview, and then after that we get to figure out how we want to play with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Next steps to come.
Yeah, well, yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming by, making the time to come out here.
Yeah,
I know you have a packed schedule showing. Everyone wants to see this. So I'm really glad we got to do this, and hopefully we can get this out to you guys, so that way you can take a look and see what our studio's like without having to fly out here.
Hey, I'll catch you guys later. I gotta go.
Dude, get out of here, man. You're fucking crazy.
Wait, Clint, grab your phone. We gotta do. Whoa! Why is that so squishy?
I don't know if that was a squishy sound more than a fart from Clint.
Oh, it smells. All right, for real this time. For real, I'm leaving.
Bye, Clint.
I see you, dude.